Hey, welcome to Momentarily Speaking with me, Isha Anavaz. On this channel, we're going to focus on self care, nutrition, and mindset growth. We will feel well, move well, and live well on this channel. Let's build a stronger, more intentional us, one moment at a time. Thank you for watching. Hi guys, today's video is going to be short, but I just wanted to put it out there for the newbies, anyone who's thinking about being on a GLP-1 journey or you're currently new. I wanted to share with you the information between foods that fuel your body and foods that inflame your body and why that's important on a GLP-1. So if you're interested, stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Isha Anavaz, and this channel is Momentarily Speaking, where we are going to be focusing on living well and feeling well and moving well, because as we get older, we need to start thinking about how is our metabolic health. And I am going to be making a video on metabolic health and some of the things that I've learned, but I'd like to share with you something, especially if you're a newbie. A lot of times what happens is there is a conventional way to use the GLP-1 and an unconventional way. What I mean by that is the conventional way is that you utilize the GLP-1, and that's how I started. I was desperate to lose weight. I was going through perimenopause and I was gaining excessive amount of weight, like very rapidly. Within 2 months, I gained over 32 pounds. And by the time that I started this journey, I was just so desperate. And the GLP-1 was introduced to me and I started using the GLP-1. So at the beginning of my journey, I really didn't know much about, protein, how important that is. I didn't know about how important it is to move your body and make sure that you're strength training. None of the stuff that I preach about on this channel, I didn't know any of that. But today I want to focus on why the first thing that you need to know is why is it important for you to know how you can improve your metabolic health at whatever age you're in. You can be 20 years old and listening to this, or you can be 70 years old and listening to this. The important part is that you understand one thing. You need your macros. What are macros? I didn't even know about macros when I first started. I mean, I've been a human being for 47 years and I had no idea what macros were and how that impacted my body. So I'm going to share that with you just in case you don't know. Macros are what you need to fuel your body. So we need protein, we need fiber, and we need fats, okay, carbohydrates to fuel our body. First of all, God made a perfect body, and that is you. So once you have that in motion and understand that, then you can move on to the other stuff. And the other stuff is that in our society today, we are privy to a lot of choices that cause actual inflammation through food in our body. So let me just give you an example of that. If you're having too much of high protein with too much saturated fats, if you're having the wrong types of fats, carbohydrates into your body, and you're not having enough fiber, what it does is it imbalances your body. And so you start experiencing an unhealthy metabolic change in your body. So how do we understand what we need to actually be eating while you're on a GLP-1, or if you're not on a GLP-1 and you're in a weight loss journey? That there are macro foods that fuel your body and there are macro foods that inflame your body. The next step to understand is that inflammation is the first indicator that your metabolic health is declining. So when you understand that your metabolic health is declining by whether you get some labs done or you understand that you need to focus on a specific area, whether it's you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetic, and you get on this medication, once you have that information, you can actually start eating to fuel your body rather than hurting your body. So a lot of times what we see is at the beginning of my journey, I was conventional in the sense that I was continuing to eat everything that I was eating before, but now I'm taking the medication, strength training or doing exercises or moving. So you'll see a portion of people like me at the beginning of this journey where we focus on, oh, I'm taking the medication, I'm losing weight, I'm doing my strength training and I'm moving. But then we don't change anything in our food. What happens is our body eventually, if you get off the medication or are in the medication, it's going to still want to be having those foods that's not feeding our metabolic health. What happened to me is that I started researching and I started realizing that I didn't know that the foods that I was eating were actually inflaming my body. And by creating that inflammation, it was causing, yeah, sure, I was losing weight, but I wasn't really looking at my labs the way that I should have been looking at them. And if you're a newbie, this is why it's important for you to be looking at your labs in a strategic way. And I like to use the 6 Sigma way. If you don't know how to define 6 Sigma, I'll break it down for you. 6 Sigma is when you can identify the situation by defining, measuring, analyzing, improving, and controlling the situation. And so companies use this all around the world to be able to better their systems, their metrics, whatever issues is going on, whatever malfunctioning situation is happening in their business. And I decided to use the same thing for me in my health. So how am I using this? I'm taking those 5 steps, right? So defining, I'm identifying key health goals. I'm measuring, track my current habits. I'm analyzing, I'm finding obstacles to progress. Improve, implementing healthy changes, and then finally control, monitoring my results over time. So I've made a couple of changes in during this time that I've been with the GLP-1 medication, and I wanted to share with you that you can also do the same and not be so focused on, because everyone talks about protein, right? There are 2 different types of protein. There's the high fat protein, which has more saturated fats, and there's the lean protein, which has less saturated fats, but it actually works better with your metabolic health. When you're talking about, in my case, in my family, we have dementia, heart disease, and diabetes. That runs in my family. So when I look at those 3 areas, what are the foods that are going to best help me? So of course, that's going to take an amount of research for you to do. But as a newbie, I want to encourage you not to be so overhyped with losing the weight, but more about what can I learn to fuel my body so that I can have the best metabolic health that I can have at this time, at this moment. And so a lot of times, my experience was I never heard of any of this stuff that I'm sharing with you today while I've been a human being for the last 47 years. Like, I never went to a doctor and a doctor explained to me, hey, this is how metabolic health works. This is what you need to look at. These are the foods that fuel your body. So when you go to Costco, for example, right now, I'm going to be making my own foods within the next few weeks to cut down on my spending. So what I did is I went and got my mixed vegetables. I went and got my broccoli. A couple of weeks ago, I found out that I needed to change from having steaks, because I love steaks. So now I'm having more chicken and salmon and sardines. So when I go to Costco, I'm picking up these things. I am picking up salmon and just learning how to work with the foods that really do help my metabolic health. This right here is something, it's 1766. It's stuffed bell peppers with ground beef and rice. I'm only one person, so I will be taking 2 of these out today and putting them in the fridge, but then I will take the rest of the other 4 and I will put them in the freezer, in Ziploc bags, put them in the freezer, and then reheat them in the air fryer over there. I picked up a chicken. So check this out. This chicken is like $5 at Costco, right? So I am going to devour this chicken. I'm going, and I'm going to, you know, with the fork, I'm going to devour it. Then I'm going to take the bones and I'm going to put it in that pot over there with water to make my own broth, bone broth. So those are different things that you can do to start understanding how can I help my metabolic health. And the reason I'm so adamant about this is because a lot of times, you know, you see the cost. I get my eggs. I get 2 of these because I eat a lot of eggs, guys. Okay, so I get 2 of these. So my concern is that a lot of times as a newbie, you're gonna see a lot of videos with ultra processed foods of all kinds, and that's what makes everybody happy. Everybody gets happy when they see all this bunch of ultra processed foods. And I want you to be careful with that. I'm only encouraging you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a health professional. Just encouraging, watch out for that. Why? Because the key is utilizing the GLP-1 as a tool to help you make better decisions with the food. Now, I understand that some of us don't like to cook. I don't like cooking, and I'll tell you why. I used to cook when I was married. I was married for 20 years, and I cooked for my family every day. There was dinner around every day. And I became single. I got divorced, and it was just me and my dog. So I stopped cooking. Then my daughter went to Culinary Institute of America. She graduated. And so I literally get to sometimes, from her cooking, I get to learn a lot about nutrition, and I also get to learn about food, but I no longer am the chef in the family. She's the chef in the family. And when I cook, I feel like I don't belong at that table because my cooking is just not as great as hers. But what I wanted to encourage you with is that there are some things that you can eat for your metabolic health and not necessarily have to cook a lot. You just have to be the creator of what you're going to eat for the week. Now, this is, of course, a single person speaking and not a mother of 2 or a wife, and I do understand that part. What I would suggest to a young woman who is still raising her kids, I want to encourage you with something. It is important that you take time for yourself. Self-care is important, and self-care is not only taking care of our, face, our hair, how we dress, all that stuff. It's also how we eat. And yes, you can be very selfish with the food that you're eating, even if your family doesn't want to have, if there's picky eaters in your family and things like that, you can still be picky about what you eat. And I want you to give yourself permission to do that. Now, that is a challenge, right? But it's a practiced way of changing how you view food. And what happens is that as you view food differently and you view it as a way to fuel your body and not inflamed, guess what happens? Your mama bear comes out. Your papa bear comes out. You want to protect your little ones from inflaming themselves with over-processed foods. You want to protect your little ones from getting diseases that can be managed with the correct foods. Now, I understand that we have obesity is a disease, and I understand that it also, there is such thing as food noise. I know what that is because I've experienced it. But when I have food noise and it's so, active at the moment, if I have these things in front of me, I can do stuff with it. I can go and get a couple of salmon with some crackers to hold me off until I decide, okay, what am I really gonna eat? Because I'm really, really hungry. But you learn to manage your hunger. There's nothing wrong with hunger. Do not fear hunger. Hunger is just a way of your body telling you that you need protein, that you need to have your macros. And so it's important to understand that, because when we go to a doctor, most of the times they're not going to explain this stuff to you. You're going to have to figure it out yourself, or you're going to have to watch videos of other people who figured it out. So, to end, I just want to let you know that there are ways for you to eat without decreasing your metabolic health. And when you go to Costco, when you go to the food store, try to have at the very least 60% of your food being non-processed foods. And if they are processed, like, okay, so I have these beef franks, okay? This I eat without a bun. Sometimes I get really hungry and I'll boil me 2 of these hot dogs, the Hebrew national hot dogs, and I'll put sauerkraut or beet red sauerkraut, or I'll put kimchi. You can also have kimchi with white rice. What these 3 things do for you, it actually helps your microbiome. And by you understanding what certain foods help you in your body, you can actually start making choices that work for you. These are the choices that have worked for me, and I'm encouraging you to find the choices that work for you. So I just wanted to share this with you, and I hope that you have an incredible day. And yeah, you got this, and please know that no matter where you're at, you can always start today. God bless you. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.